Good evening, everybody. Wrong genre. Everyone has a favorite reading genre, whether it's post-apocalyptic fiction, time travel, space opera, slipstream, military science fiction, hardcore science. Oh, I'm just naming off subgenres of my favorite genre, science fiction. We'll get there. But everyone does have a favorite genre. Or you're a genre jumper, as I like to call people who can just read anything, fiction, nonfiction, whatever floats your boat. I'm impressed. Or you don't read enough books if you haven't picked a genre. In that case, you've come to the right place. You're watching a BookTube tag. This is the My Genre Project BookTube tag by Caleb J. Ross. Funny guy. His channel is called Burning Books. You've got to see the irony in that, right? So this tag is for readers who might want to use it as a starting point for new genres. Well, science fiction is my genre. Why? Blame it on Star Trek. Growing up, years and years, like 7 television series of that show. No kidding. Those guys just keep on trekking. Science fiction has the power to change lives because there is social commentary that is subtly and not so subtly juxtaposed with the main story. I hope I used that word right. I think it broadens your horizons. I think it can actually give you new perspectives in the world. Blah, 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 blah. But it's true. Science fiction can move you in ways that other stories can't. There is fantasy, the cousin to sci-fi, and all its subgenres. And both of these take you out of this world. They put you into worlds that you will never, in your lifetime, or any other lifetime, actually experience, except at Dragon Con and other cosplay events. But life is breathed into these worlds, and they become real, and they're fantastical, and they spark your imagination and take you to places that you can't even fathom. It's just beautiful, it's inspiring, it gets you going, it's fun. There are 2 books on my list that have indisputably contributed to the advancement of this genre, and I would say have a place in the best science fiction of all time. This first story is actually a duology. It's HYPERION by Dan Simmons and the conclusion Fall of HYPERION, and I would say that these books are some of the most profound reading that I have ever come across. The characters in the book are some of the most memorable that I have ever read about. I cared about them. I cried for them. I wanted them to succeed, and I will remember them just as I remember all the great pop culture characters that have come through me through other media, like TV and movies. And HYPERION ends in a cliffhanger that would normally have me screaming in rage, except for the fact that Dan Simmons does something amazing. He makes me care about these characters and the journey they've taken up until this point, that their stories in themselves are so mesmerizing, so fulfilling, that they have reached this apex of their journey. And it's okay if you don't know what happens to them, because they have chosen this path. The story is ultimately about answering the question, does man deserve a second chance in the stars? We destroyed our cradle of civilization, our home planet. That's no spoiler. That's what the book is all about, living among the stars. But a new Armageddon is coming, and it is pretty amazing how we fight in the future, how we survive in the future, and how it's so very different, but yet so very much the same. And in the Fall of HYPERION, the conclusion to the duology, we actually find out if mankind does deserve a second chance. And it'll blow your mind. My mind was blown about 5 times. There are very few books that can pull me in, make me rethink my worldview, take a look at life from a different perspective, and really say, wow, this is what writing is all about. And that memory will stay with me forever because of these 2 books. Those are the experiences I want in my books, and HYPERION brought that in full force. That's what science fiction does. The other book is Ender's Game. I've mentioned this before. I didn't finish the series because it took a totally different direction, and there are many spin-offs from the original story. But the original story is self-contained. It is its own book. Have no fear about that. It's social commentary at its best. It's about indoctrinating kids into the military to train them, make their minds understand an alien threat that adults on Earth cannot. And if we cannot defeat these aliens, our species is gone. So what extremes would you go to preserve this species? What would you put these kids through? Well, the ending is one of the best, or is the best ending of any book I've ever read. And yes, I have read more than the books on my bookshelf behind me. And finally, why do I love this genre? No, it's not for the escapism. Escapism is such a bad word. Except, this is escapism. Like I said, you won't experience these worlds ever in real life. This is out of somebody's head. And it's called suspension of disbelief. They make it real. And they make you think you're there. So science fiction, if that can do that, why wouldn't that be my favorite genre? You can experience other lives. You can experience other times. You can experience a lot of things that are just flat out cool. And you're introduced to concepts and visions that are amazing. So I'm going to continue to read science fiction as my numero uno genre. Thanks for listening. This has been the My Genre Project BookTube tag. Ooh, one more. I would put Hunger Games up there as some of the best science fiction I've ever read as well. So young adult fans know this. I hope a lot of science fiction fans know this. If not, let me make my case. Katniss Everdeen is trying to survive a society that is willing to put its children into a combat arena to teach them a lesson not to revolt again. I would not want to live in that society. I cried in this book. Yeah, I'll admit it. So what? The trilogy is incredibly strong all the way through. I absolutely loved it. Mockingjay was a little short for me, but the ending I did not see coming. No one gets out unscathed in this trilogy. There is obviously the spectator sport, a whole nation watching children kill each other on television. And she obviously has to play up the romantic angle in order to survive. It becomes something more. So the young adult aspect is real. It's not forced. And it's beautifully played out up to the very end where Katniss understands her fate and she goes for her fate. There are so many messages in this story. It makes you question what decision you would make in this society. Who would you be? Would you be in the capital or would you be in the districts? Would you fight for the right side? We all have to make those decisions in life, whether we want to admit it or not. That's the impact that the Hunger Games had on me. It's a great story. And who doesn't love Katniss? Come on. That's it from My Genre Project BookTube tag. Hope you learned a little bit. I enjoyed it. Talk to you soon.